So the chapter which we are going to study today is in the kingdom of fools. And this chapter actually talks about that acquiring a power doesn't mean anything. You need to be wise enough to take right decision at the right time, right? It is believed that fools are so dangerous that only very wise people can manage them. Who are the fools in the story we'll get to know about, right? And yes, it's very true that dealing with the people who are not intelligent enough is really a big task. Okay? That's why people generally avoid being with foolish people because they might get in trouble anytime. And the same has happened in this chapter. In the kingdom of fools, both the king and the minister were idiots. Okay, idiots mean one who is not wise enough to understand what is right, what is wrong. They didn't want to run things like other kings, so they decided to change night into day and day into night. They ordered that everyone should be awake at night, till their fields, and run their businesses only after dark, and go to bed as soon as the sun came up. Anyone who disobeyed would be punished with death. The people did as they were told for fear of death. The king and the minister were delighted at the success of their project. One day, a guru and his disciple arrived in the city. It was a beautiful city. It was broad daylight, but there was no one on about. Everyone was asleep. Not a mouse stirring. Even the cattle had been taught to sleep by day. The two strangers were amazed by what they saw around them and wandered around town till evening. And suddenly the whole town woke up and went about its nightly business. So the chapter starts when a guru and his disciple reaches the kingdom which was ruled by a foolish king. So here the king and his ministers were actually not at all intelligent enough to take care of the ruling. So they wanted to run the kingdom in a very different way. So the minister suggested the king that, sir, why don't you change the rules of the day and night? Let night be a working time and day be a sleeping time. The king was very happy with the suggestion and he agreed to it, and the orders were passed by the ministers. Although the people were not happy with the decision, but they have to follow this for the fear of death, because it was clearly mentioned that the one who is not going to follow will be punished with death. So one morning, when the guru and his disciple entered the town, they observed that it was a beautiful city. It was clearly a daytime, but nobody was there around the town, not even the mouse. Even the cattle were also sleeping. So Guru and his disciple were very amazed. They thought about that what all actually is wrong in this city. The two men were hungry. So now that the shops were open, they went to buy some groceries. To their astonishment, now again they were surprised. Why they were surprised? They bought a measure of rice or a bounce of bananas. It cost a doo-doo. That is 1 rupee. So again, this was another decision taken by the king, that each material, each item is going to cost only 1 rupee. Now again, this made the guru very amazed of this city. They could buy all the food they wanted for a rupee. When they had cooked and eaten, the guru realized that it is very dangerous to stay here. He realized that this kingdom is of fools and it would be not a good idea to stay here for a long time. So he decided to leave the place. But his disciple was not in the favor. His disciple wanted to stay in this kingdom for some more time because everything was very cheap. The guru said, They are all fools. This won't last very long and you can't tell what they will do to you next. So although Guru warned his disciple that something wrong could happen to you also, so it's better to leave the place. But the disciple was not ready to. So finally, Guru left the place and disciple remained there. One bright day, a thief broke into a rich merchant's house. We have just seen in the video that when the thief was coming out after stealing the material, the wall collapsed on his head and he died. Now his brother went to the king complaining about the collapsing wall, and he said that the merchant should be blamed, who is the owner of that house. Now just imagine, the king should have punished the brother because his brother was a thief. But he did not pay attention toward the thief. He started blaming the merchant. The merchant blamed the wall to be collapsed on the person who built it, the mason. The mason was called. He blamed a dancer. He said that the jingling of the anklets of the dancer actually distracted his attention and he made a casual wall. The dancer blamed the goldsmith. She said that she has been walking on the footpath because she was going up and down to the goldsmith's house. And finally, the goldsmiths blamed the same merchant who was blamed by the thief's brother at the beginning. She thought of a minute and said, so this was a statement given by the dancer. So finally, it was observed by the king that the merchant is the final culprit. Okay? But the king consulted his minister and ruled decisively. It is true your father is the true murderer. So merchant blamed his father that, sir, I was not the one when the wall was built. My father was there. So the king said, I know your father is the murderer, but because he is no more now, so as you have inherited all his property, you have to inherit his crime also, and you will be punished. So finally, merchant was the one to be punished. And he ordered a new stake to be made. So a stake was being made, and it was told that the merchant is going to sit inside the stake, and stake is going to be thrown down the cliff. Okay, you know cliff? The opening in the mountain, right? What shall we do? Suddenly, king realized that the stake was too big for the merchant to fit. So now he forgot about the issue and he said that I want someone fat enough who can fit in the stake properly. So immediately his officers went searching for that man. And they found the man, yes, the disciple. So finally, the disciple was decided to be thrown down the cliff by making him sit in the stake. He started shouting. He started calling his guru. What have I done wrong? He asked. I am innocent. I am a sannyasi. He tried to convince the king, but the king did not listen. So finally, when he shouted, you don't know what they will do to next, he remembered that his guru has warned him. But he did not listen to his guru. He prayed to his guru in his heart and immediately the guru appeared. Okay, because he was a magical sage. So finally, let's see what happened. As soon as the guru arrived, he scolded the disciple and told him something in a whisper. So he told him something slowly so that others could not listen. Then he went to the king and addressed, O wisest of kings, who is greater, the guru or the disciple? Of course the guru, the king said. So the guru said, you put my disciple to death after me. First you put me to the death. I want to die first. When the disciple heard this, he understood and began to clamor. He began to urge, he began to plead that please kill me first. Now the king was very amazed that how could this happen, that people are they both are fighting to die? You shouldn't ask me such question. Put me to death first, replied the guru. Why? There is some mystery here. As a wise man, you must make me understand. So he requested the sage to make him understand that why he wants to die. Will you promise put me death if I tell you? The king said yes. So now see, there's a story narrated by the Guru. The Guru is narrating that stake is a stake of God's justice. It's new. It had never had a crime on it. Whoever dies on it will be reborn as a king of this country. And whoever goes next will be the future minister of this country. We are sick of our ascetic life and will be nice to enjoy ourselves as king and minister for a while. Now keep your words, my lords, and put us to death. So now finally, after telling this imaginary story, the Guru requested the king to put him to death. The king was now thrown into deep thought. Now king started thinking. He delayed his decision. He said, I am postponing the execution and the decision would be taken the other day. You know, at night, the king, along with his ministers, went to the holy man. Okay. And he told the executioner means the one who was supposed to throw the stake in the cliff. He told him to put behind him, he told him that I and my ministers are going to sit in the stake and you throw us down the cliff. That night, the king and his ministers went secretly, right? So finally, who was one to be thrown down? The king and his ministers. All night, they mourned and discussed the future of the kingdom. Some people suddenly thought of the guru and the disciple and caught up. Now, this kingdom, the people in the kingdom were thinking about, okay, that what is going to happen if the king and his ministers would be killed. So the countrymen, they all requested the guru to be the new king and his disciple to be his minister. Disciple was ready to become the minister of the kingdom, but guru delayed his decision for some time. But after lots of requests, he finally agreed to the decision. And now all the odd rules of the kingdoms were changed. Now the day was day and the night was night. All the material were costing the exact amount which they were supposed to. Right? You know, this chapter leads to the moral that doesn't matter how much power you have, doesn't matter how much luxury is being given to you. If you are not wise enough to use it in a proper way, you are not the right person to acquire it. You are not the right person to use it. Okay, so to be a good king, you need to be wise, intelligent, and thoughtful enough to take a right decision, right? So here we have come to the end of the chapter in the kingdom of fools. Okay,